Welcome to Grimm Gals, where we talk about death, grief, gore.
And how we live with it.
I'm Abby Ballin.
I'm Valeria and Eddie.
And let's go. What was that snarl face?
I love my snarl face. I think I look cute, but I look disaster. I look scary, actually, which is good.
It was a little aggressive. All right. Well, let's just address the cough drops.
You really need the cough drops. I like how cough drops taste and feel, and here we are.
I love them, but we're just addressing them with the audience because you're probably going to hear a little ASMR in our mouths.
Yeah, that sounds kind of nice. It'll put me to sleep listening to this.
So it'll disappear eventually. They're going to be gone, but please don't mind us. I don't know. I'm still healing from that cold a month ago.
It was a month ago?
I don't know. It feels like a month ago. Who knows how long ago?
But remember, you had your sore throat, and that lasted like for months. Remember, you had to fix your throat, and it was like months later.
I'm falling apart. It's fine. It happens when you get old.
You're not that old. Stop.
No,
But this is our season finale
Guys,
episode.
This is season finale of Grimm Gals. We made it through. I don't even know. I feel like this is our 12th, 13th episode. Like we've had
A lot of episodes.
a lot of episodes,
Yeah.
and we've had a lot of guests.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a decent amount about death.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots.
And
of
there's
death
still
talk.
more to talk about, but
Forever to talk about death. And we realized that like we barely touched on animal deaths whatsoever, which is like hugely impactful for a lot of people. Like that was the other thing I guess I was thinking about is like when I'm doing the show, grief is not just about losing a human loss. And it's not even just about losing like when something is dying, but it is like a relationship, job, anything where there's an end that maybe you weren't ready for,
or a hardship in life. I mean, even facing your own getting older. You know, you see a little wrinkle in the mirror. You're kind of like, oh my God, I'm no longer this young 20-year-old lady who has the whole life ahead of her, or man.
I got my first gray hair at 13.
Yeah, I don't think gray hairs. I had gray hair since I was 8.
You've had it since you were 8?
Yes.
You finally beat me.
Yeah.
I never knew anyone who had it earlier.
I've had white hair my entire life. I think it's more seeing like a little bit of underbag.
No, but because I've had gray hair since I was 13, I never associated it with aging.
Yeah, I don't.
But for a lot of people, it is because they're like, oh my God. Like I have friends that are in their 30s. They're like, I got my first gray hair. And I'm like, big deal. I've been dyeing my hair since I was a kid because I've had gray hair.
Exactly. And it's just like realizing that one day you're going to go, and it's like when you're living and you're young, you never ever think about dying. You're just like, and then you're going to be like, holy shit, I am going to die one day.
Yeah. So my dad is obviously going to die soon because he's 87 and you can only live so.
Wow, 87. That's pretty old.
Honestly, I'm like, is he 87 or is he going to be 88 now? Like, what's happening? What year are we in? No, he's 87. Yeah, he's about to turn 87, I think. We're in 1936. We're in, yeah, so he'll be 87. He's about to be 87. So he
was he a smoker by chance?
He smokes cigars.
He still
smokes so much weed. He still smokes so much weed.
Okay. What about drinker?
A huge drinker. No, he
he lasted this long.
He defies all logic. Like everything it tells you, and that's the thing. He's like, all my friends, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke, they worked out every day, they would eat their cottage cheese and salmon, and I was just like, fuck it, living my best life, eating fatty foods and like drinking every day and smoking every day, and had a big fat belly gut, and you know what I mean? Like he put his body through the test. And this is where we really just see genetics as a thing, and also good die young, and he is not the good.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm really happy he's been around for so long.
No, and I like him way more, actually. He's way more enjoyable. So I had mentioned in a previous episode that my sister found home videos.
And he's still having sex with your mom?
I think it's a lot of blowjobs.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of blowjobs, and it's like, and a lot of it is he's just talking up. No, but like they butt dialed me during, like, how text does audio text. So like there was definitely some freaky shit going down.
Nah, I bet you did it on purpose. Your parents are crazy, but
No,
was
they
I?
did.
Well, anyway,
But
like,
yeah, no. But my mom has dementia. So my dad had said to my nephew that he was like, the best part of it is I can fuck her as many times as I want and she won't remember. That's horrifying.
That's funny though.
But I'm like, thank God his dick. Like, imagine she had dementia before when his dick actually worked well. Like, now it's like, okay, how many times could he possibly orgasm? At this point?
Viagra, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if he would take Viagra with all the other meds he's on,
Yeah.
No, he always said, like, you got to use it
To lose it.
to not lose it. So he was always like, you should be.
He's old school.
He was like, you should be jerking off. You should be fucking. You should be using. It's like a muscle, the prostate or whatever, like the whole thing. So he was always like, if you're not fucking, that's why you have dick problems.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's why he lived this long, because he was never nonstop fucking. He was just like, I'm living till I'm gone.
He's living because he has purpose. I think that's a major thing. He's
having purpose in life.
And he's never stopped working, even though, like, it's not like he's making money, but he has a project. He's always got a hustle going on. He's always trying to create business and something. And I think I
think you got some of that from him.
Majorly, very much a split between my parents.
Aww.
But yeah, the work ethic, 100%. My father, and the energy, my father.
Yeah. But I think everyone should also incorporate that into their lives, like to feel like you're not dying. Just keep going until
you need a goal. You need to not, like, laziness is a killer, man. Retirement is a killer. Like, a lot of people that I meet that, like, don't look their age, they're still working. They're keeping their mind sharp. They have something to live for.
Yeah.
A lot of times people die because they've kind of given up, and they've given up on taking care of themselves. They've given up.
I'm never going to give up, especially because I have comedy. That's why I love comedy so much, because I'm never going to give up on comedy. You know what I mean?
Other losses. So we've talked a lot about our losses of first loss, your father, like my ex-partner, like all these losses that were human and personal. Right. But like, did you ever have like a loss of like a friendship, a loss of a job, like the job? Like, what was like a hurt that's like kind of like it could have ended differently? Like, it's not gone. There might even be still potential to get it back, like that regret.
I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I've had like friendships that deteriorated or just didn't work out. Some of them I'm okay, but some of them I'm like, damn, that sucks. And there's definitely been like, I mean, I'm already over all the people I've been with in the past, but there's always that like one guy that kind of got away. Nah, they'll fuck all of them. I'm sure some people out there feel like, oh, I wish I had this one person back. I'm at a point where I'm like, fuck all y'all motherfuckers.
Oh my God, you're so funny.
Well, thank goodness I'm there, because there was a point in my life where I was like, me. Now I'm like,
did you get dumped by that person?
I think I got dumped by all my boyfriends. I think I've never was the dumper. I don't think I've ever like broke up with somebody.
Breaking up with someone's hard.
It's hard. I don't think I ever have. I think I've always been the dumpy, right? I've always been the dumpy. All my relationships.
I've pretty much all my relationships either like had two ends, like they were leaving, or they died, or like something where it's like they had to go, or there was one where I was like, I was about to break up with them, and so they did it first, which I was like, thank you, that was the best gift.
Right? I think it's better. I think it's better to be the dumpy, because it's like you don't feel like anything. You're like, oh, okay.
No, but that was amazing. But then in more recent, I've had to be the dumper, and I'm not good at it. I am like, because I am so empathetic, and I'm like, and I'll just try to make it work and sacrifice my own happiness and whatever. And then finally,
I think when you're dumping somebody, I think it's best to do it clean, cut, like super like amicable. Like, hey, look, it's not gonna work out. It's nice to do it like in person or maybe over the phone, depending on the situation, but never a text. I think a text is too much.
Oh, I'm always in long-term relationships that like I could never text somebody. Or, like I like live with the people. I'm like peace out.
I think twice I got dumped through a text. One time by somebody who I really cared about. And the second time was not on purpose, because like the situation happened and he just couldn't talk to me no more, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. No, I've always had, I think it's I mostly dated as an adult. I was like very single in my teens and early 20s. And then I got into just like a 7-year relationship, 5-year like everything was like very long term.
Not me. Mine's very
So
short-lived.
yeah, so like the one guy who dumped me before I dumped him, we were together for like on and off for a year and a half or something like that. So that was, it was like one of my first longer relationships. And he could feel that I was going to break up with him. And I remember I came home from school and a box of my stuff was left at the building. And I was just like, thank God. I was so relieved. And the funny thing is I'm actually still friends with him to this day. We didn't talk for years. He actually ended up getting married and then ended up getting divorced. And that's when he reached out. And then we like became friends, beat through his divorce and stuff like that. And now we're like good friends and everything like that. But it was,
See, I would have loved to stay friends with some of my exes. It would have been nice, but it doesn't really work out.
Most of the time it doesn't work. I think the only reason why that one worked is because we actually had like almost a 10-year break of not talking or seeing, and like and also we don't like live in the same state anymore. And when we did become friends, I had somebody else in my life. To be in a relationship with the opposite sex, especially if they were your ex or you had a flirtation or you hooked up with them, I think it's very, very important that you talk about who you're dating, who you're sleeping with, who you want to sleep with, because you need to like you can't be friends with someone if you can't have those conversations. So it's like if this is your ex, but you like ignore the fact that like either of you are ever seeing anybody else, you're not really being friends. You're kind of just like being back burner, like second options. Like that's not.
Yeah.
Like I think so. I think one of the reasons why we were able to become friends is I was very clear, like, I don't want you, but I want you to be happy. So let me help you get happy. And he actually really appreciated me because I do think there was a point where he probably wanted to come back.
Of course. They always want to come back sometimes.
Yeah, I guess they do. I just really try to like, because I don't like shopping in my trash and recycling. Like, I don't. Like, I feel like if you were, there's only maybe one that I would, and that's because it ended because they had to like leave. But now they're like, they live in another country, they have kids, like it's so far gone. But that was the only one in my mind that I was like, maybe I would revive it at some point in my life in like a cinematic, like he left, he had to go back to his country, and now 20 years later we're able to be together finally. Like that was like a young fantasy version in my head of what could happen. But then you grow and I'm like, so much time has passed, so much differences. He's actually in Israel. That's where he's from.
Oh, wow. So I love it there. I also had dated a guy from Israel.
Yeah. So that's where, we've talked a little bit more now because of everything that's happening and me just checking in on him and making sure him and his family and everyone's okay. But prior to that, we would say happy birthday to each other throughout the years, but it's been so long that even those kind of, we'd forget sometimes to say happy birthday to each other. So it is definitely fizzled out to, we'll always care for each other and be so happy that that was a part of our youth and our first loves and our first, like he taught me so much and I'm so grateful. But it's like at a certain point, like people grow apart. And even though like we didn't end in a bad way, I am so not the person I was when I was like 19, 20.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, there's always that one person that lingers, and that's always nice, But I think that right now in my time, I really don't care too much anymore about the people that have come and go. I'm actually finally entering a phase in my life where I'm like more concerned about getting old. Like it's like it finally kind of hit me. I guess I know I'm not old. I know I'm so young. But now I entered a whole phase in my brain when I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like there's no going back. There's no more being 21 years old anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of, it's like a weird, scary feeling. Like I feel like I'm going to get over it. I'm really not settled yet in the idea of getting older. I think I'm just now realizing kind of it's happening. And I think we all kind of get there. I think we're all going to get to a point in our lives where we're like, fuck, like I am not 21 anymore,
I
I
don't
mean,
feel like I've ever felt young, so I never like
mm,
none of that ever really concerns me. Like I've always just felt like this is exhausting.
blah.
Let's speed this train
That's
off.
true.
Like,
Well, that's kind of how you and Jackie saw like eye to eye in that one
yeah.
episode. But me, I've always felt like I've been like this ageless person,
Mm.
you know. And I always felt like, but like now I'm like right with this show, just looking at myself in the mirror, like seeing my pictures when I was younger, and then me now. I was like, oh my god, one day I'm gonna look back, I'm gonna be 55.
Mm.
I'm gonna be 65 one day, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I always look so I try to look at other people I know that have reached those ages and see what they're doing. Like my mom has a very tight friend group. They're all the same age. They've all been friends since they were like kids or very young in life. And I could see how they all are aging based off of kind of the choices they've made in their life. And like, did they have kids? How involved in their kids' lives and their grandkids' lives are they? Did they work? Were they just staying home? How did they stay married? Did they get divorced? Like, there's so many things that factor into the way you live your life that kind of have a correlation to how you age and how active you were and stuff. And so some of my mom's friends, like that are in their like my mom's in her early 70s. Some of them are like literally learning new sports and taking up new jobs and like acting like they're in their 40s almost and like having new careers. They look great. Like they're very sharp. They're like, like
Really? Damn, I want to hang out around old people more. Remember
yeah.
we said we are going to do that? We are going to go
Yeah.
to some senior citizen place.
No,
I think
I
we
think
should
we
do that as a society.
yeah.
We're always hanging out around young people. I'm not
Yeah.
really around older people. That made me probably feel better.
I hang out with all of it. I hang out with young, old. Like that's the thing I did always love. One, growing up in a city, you're just experiencing more. Two, growing up with older parents and also parents with an age gap because my parents do have a big age gap. And then having my brothers that were much older, 20 plus years older than me. Then having my nieces and nephews that were almost my age. So like I literally in close proximity to me have every living generation on the planet is in my immediate family, from my father being the lost generation to my nephews being whatever this baby generation is that's now.
Well, that's
So,
beautiful. 'Cause you're surrounded by family. Like me, there's no family here. All my family's in South America. So I
yeah.
really dependent on my friends. And my friends are kind of my age. But I do have friends that are different, ages. But I really don't hang around older people enough. And I
Yeah.
think that I want to. I think that's going to be my next
Yeah, well,
thing.
I hung out with my mom and her friends a lot. Like they were like we were like friend like so when I go to my mom's hometown, instead of hanging out with people my age, like me and one of my mom's friends' daughters would hang out with my mom's friends. Like we were part of the girl gang, and
Yeah.
like so now even because my mom has dementia, I'll go and I'll hang out with her friends. They're
Yeah.
like my friends, and
It
it's
is, yeah.
nice.
My mom's friends are the best. Like
Yeah.
hanging out with older women is like
Yeah,
epic.
it's so good.
It's so fun. Like they're
Yeah.
so secure. They're so sassy. They
Yeah.
like love everything. And I'm like, yeah, I feel so secure there. I feel
Yeah.
like, yay.
I would like to have something to talk about though, about that's more specific versus general about
Mhm.
other types of losses than death. So if you
To
don't want
close out the episode. Okay.
so if you don't want to focus, like to me, I know loss of a friend, like it hit me hard when I had my best friend from high school when we went to college. Even though like where we went to college was literally a 20-minute train ride from each other, there was no reason for us to stop being best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a girl that like she would stay at my house before school. I would stay at her house. Like she came on family vacations with us. Like we were almost inseparable. And a month or two into freshman year, she just kind of ghosted me and like just really pushed me away. And like it would be so hard to get a hold of her. And like,
Did you ever confront her about it? Did you ever say, hey, like, we're not friends no more?
And over and over.
And she never said
and
yes,
she
no?
would never admit to it. She just act like she was busy or this or that.
That's so weird.
And I remember finally was I went to a house party at our friends, all of our friends, and so the house was a block away from where I grew up, where I lived, and it happened to be that one of my best friends got an apartment a block away.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm going to that party. It's my friend who now lives a block away. I go there and my friend's there.
Oh my God.
And she's a 20-minute train ride, and she's now a block away from my house where she knows I live. I'm like, and you didn't mention that you were going to be. So that's when it was like, okay, there's something wrong here. This
Yeah.
is like this is personal. Like, there's no excuse for you to not mention you're coming in. You know, I'm probably going to see you. Like, this is crazy. This
Right.
isn't like an acquaintance. This is like a sister. So I confronted her then, and she was just kind of, oh, I didn't think I was coming, and then I came, kind of thing. And like at a certain point, it's like you can only ask so many times, and it's like they're either got to be honest. And I would say, like, if I did something, please tell me. And she never did. And we connected like maybe 10, 12 years later. And I just kind of, I think I I can't even remember if I brought it up again, because I kind of just accepted that it is what it is.
Yeah.
And some people are going to be more real and honest about things, and some people aren't. She doesn't have hard feelings towards me. And I know I never did anything wrong to her. And she obviously, you know, was still down to meet me for that thing. And I probably could call her and meet up with her. But
It's not the same anymore.
It's not the same anymore. And she clearly just didn't value or care about the friendship anymore. And I had to look at this once it happened in different ways and to different people and kind of see it when I realized, oh, I get what happened there. A lot of times when people have that transition in life, like going from high school to college, going from college to work, moving a state, becoming married, whatever the huge life transition it is, it's almost like they have to kill their former self to become that. Not everyone's like that. Some people can do it gradually, gracefully. They keep themselves, they hold on to it. But some people are like, no, I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to be this person. And for me to be this person, I need to get rid of everybody else who knows me as that person, because they're going to hold me back and they're going to hold me to it. And I need to now kill all those relationships so I can become the person that I want to be now. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what happened in that situation. And as much as it was really hard to realize, oh, that's why I had to die for you to become that, I was okay with it, kind of, because I was just like, that's stupid. Yeah. I could have been cool with you becoming this other person, but if that's what you needed to do.
I don't know. I just think that sometimes friendships hurt more than even romantic relationships. I mean, me personally, I've had so many different eras in my life where I've lost so many friends in my life, which is really funny to think. Like, the friends I have now are friends that I think only like 2 friends survived from when I was 14. But I hung out with a whole different crew of people when I was like 7 to like 12, from 12 to 21, from 21 to like 26, 27, from 27 till now, a whole group of people. And like, it never really hurt me. I've had a best friend before. I had a best friend who we knew each other from like elementary school all the way up to middle school. And then we kind of hung out in high school, but then we had a falling out. We never became friends again. She would sleep over at my house. It's kind of like what your friend was. Like, we would be together all the time and we just like stopped talking. But I've never really regretted any friendship that has ended. But there was one that I kind of regret. That is, I feel like it ended already, and it's like a more recent one. That I think it's over, and the reasons why it was over, I think, are very silly. And I try to reach out to this person, and they at first were like kind of receptive, but then like they kind of gave me some weird mixed signals, in my opinion, and then I kind of felt like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how when you try and then they are kind of like they kind of like not reciprocate. It hurts, you know. So I might regret that.
Yeah, but reaching back out. Yeah, regretting reaching back out when it was very clear that this person let you go, and and then you reached out and then you got confirmation. Yeah, this person didn't care. So you're like, why did I even do that?
Yeah. So because in the past, when it comes to like, for some reason, when it comes to friendships, I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine, whatever. Because I've lost so many people, so many friends in my life, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But this one kind of hurt a little bit, but I got over it.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I have a joke that's based off of a different friendship that I don't know if it's lost, but it's definitely not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a whole joke of like, would you rather lose your have your sister, your sibling steal your best friend or your boyfriend? Would you rather your sister steal your best friend or your boyfriend? And I asked the audience this.
The best friend.
So many people say that. And then, which is funny because you just said, I thought you were going to side with me because you just said sometimes losing a friend is so much worse than losing a romantic relationship. So I thought you were going to side with me because I'm like, to me, you expect guys to be dirty, dicking it. You expect them to want to step around. Like, to me, if like that to me is like an obvious. But
Mm-hmm.
for your best friend to leave you for your sister, now you have to like look at inside and be like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Because
Yeah.
that's not how that should go. They shouldn't be, because then they're choosing, like, you don't have a sexual relationship. So
Yeah.
now it's like they're choosing who you are.
True. But
To-
it depends on who the boyfriend is. Because if I really like the guy, then I'd be mad. But if it was like some guys like whatever, then yeah, you can have him. You know what I mean? Depending who the best friend is. You know what I mean? Like which friend.
So, like, basically, all of this is like whatever. But to me personally, it's not about who it is. It's more like what is like expected, I guess. And to
I
me,
guess you're right.
someone just sleep it. Like, to me, every guy wants to sleep with every girl's sister. Like, to me, like, that's like an
Yeah.
obvious.
And if your sister did that, it makes your sister look
no,
bad.
it's really the sister.
and the guy.
The sister's the problem here, clearly, because she shouldn't
Yeah.
be stealing the friends or the boyfriend. Like, that's already a betrayal, no matter
Yeah,
who it is.
yeah.
There's beef there.
Yeah.
But regardless of that,
Mm-hmm.
if the boyfriend sleeps with the sister, like, to me, that's like, I wouldn't be shocked. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
that
true,
men
yeah.
do that. I
Yeah.
don't like it. Fuck you if you do that. And thank you for doing that. So now I know shouldn't waste my time with you, because that's a bad person with no morals.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a best friend, it's sneakier,
Yeah.
because why can't they also be friends with your sister? But it's like when it's like you're an adult, you've been friends for so long, and then for them to be choosing the sister over you, now it's like you have to actually be like, well, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, I guess you're right. You got a point there. When you kind of explained it, yeah, I can see that now. Because if the boyfriend went, it's like, he makes him sleazy. But if the best friend went, it's kind of like, what happened there? You know what I mean? Yeah, it says a lot.
So it's like we
Yeah.
have all this history, we have all this thing, but yet again, I think it also falls back on, we are so close that I can see you. You can't hide from me.
That's true.
You're
yeah,
not that
yeah.
close to my sister. So you could still have that family closeness, that still feel that friendly thing, but she's not going to pick up on all the things that I would see.
Right.
Because, like,
right.
see, like, when you're friends with someone so long, they can't hide from you. And
That's
so I
true.
do think a lot of times when people shed a friendship, they're actually running from themselves. They're not really running from you.
That's true. Yeah. Like like I said, I've never had hard feelings about the friends that left my life, except for, like I said, this recent one that happened, and I'm like, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Life, we'll move on. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about the ongoing themes throughout the episodes we've had.
Which is a funeral.
The funeral, but also just seeing like what was a major theme, which was crazy and
Which one?
accidental, was how many people lost somebody in 2020, and it wasn't all from COVID. But you lost your father, Diane lost her mother, Randy lost her mother and her sister, or whatever. She lost one of them, and then one of them was the year before, or what. But like,
Mhm.
and then there was just so many things that was just like, I did not, when booking the show, I did not know, aside from you, anyone had lost anyone in 2020.
A lot of things happened in 2020.
Yeah, but that was like, that I wasn't expecting, that
Mhm.
like all that was happening. I think that everyone kind of had a similar perspective on death. I felt like most people were kind of,
the position. People were kind of positive about it.
yeah, no one really was having a big fear of death so far.
Yeah, we were all comics too, so it was like more of a comics perspective on death, which says a lot about us as a group, as a community.
Yeah.
That's how we deal with hard things and stuff that's like hard to deal with. We make it funny. That's why we're comedians.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if we pulled someone from the streets, it'd be like a whole different conversation. Maybe we haven't done that yet. I know we were trying to do that, but this was more like a comedy. What do comics think about death? And lo and behold, we're making fun of it.
Yeah. But so when I would tell people that I'm starting this show and it's about death, like almost everyone's reaction was, oh, like normal people. Comics were like, cool, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And they were immediately on board. But the
Right.
everyday person was more like, why would
Well,
anyone want to listen to that?
well,
And
everyday normal people are boring. So
yeah, well, I think that every day, I don't know if they're boring, but I think that they don't want to go and look under the rug. They don't want to look under the carpet as much. They want to distract. So, like, the everyday person is going to watch reality TV. The everyday person is going to go just binge watch romantic comedies or whatever. They're going to escape. Where comedians usually, yeah, they're escaping through comedy, but comedy is like looking in a
like life.
microscope
Mm.
of life and like really magnifying it to see what's going on here and what's my opinion on these things. So we're
Mm-hmm.
not really running or hiding or distracting as much.
Mm.
So I wouldn't say that they're boring, but they just don't want to look.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You know, people just want to live comfortably, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, we're out here talking about like, I thought death would be a fun ep thing because there's so many things to death. I mean, it's not just like you said, not just somebody dying. It's about everything in life is almost death. You
Mhm.
know, and it's just a scary thing, but also a thing that's very natural.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of like, and I feel like our whole thing is about talking about real natural things, like the human. I call it the human condition. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've heard that before. It's just life. We're humans. We're trying to get through this, through the days, you know, and through this one day we're just gonna not be here again, and you know, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine like 1,000 years from now, is someone are gonna remember us? 1,000 years.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm that important.
That sucks. But you know, we're still talking about people like Julius Caesar. We're still talking about Cleopatra.
Yeah, well,
We're
there's
still talking
certain
about
people that are very impactful and very important. And I think I'm not nobody, but I don't think that the path I'm on and what I'm trying to do here is going to leave
the
that kind of a
like a
legacy.
Bill Gates or like a Steve Jobs or
Yeah. Those people will live for a long
that's so
time.
interesting. Those people. Imagine being those people, like a Michael Jackson or like maybe a Madonna. No, Marilyn Monroe or who else left a legacy?
I think a lot of them, like it's different when you think of an entertainment person and entertainment legacy because that's like almost more to do with the generation you were born in
Yeah.
and were you able to be like groundbreaking in that generation,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to be the difference, and that's almost getting fewer and fewer possibilities because of
All the technological
yeah,
advances and with science and
well, there's also just like so much new stuff all the time that
yeah.
when something new happens, it's almost like in a blink it's over and you don't care about it anymore because something else new happened. Where back in the day, new things didn't happen that often. So when you were the first person to do that, when you were the first singer who was on television, everyone's
Well,
going to
who was
remember that.
that? Well, who was that?
I think Elvis was one of the first.
Elvis?
I
Oh
think
my god.
Elvis was up there, Doris Day, like
I
different.
was thinking Edgar Allan Poe. He's a poet. He was a writer. I mean, look at his writings. They're still talking about it. Charles Dickens.
Yeah. But a lot of that had to do with there's just less people. There was less books being published. There's like
Mm.
so because of that, you had like you just didn't have as many to pull from. So whether they were the best or not, there's only a few of them. So therefore you're going to
Oh
talk
my
about it
god.
historically.
How do you feel about 1,000 years from now? No one's gonna know who you are, or me. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it. I'm like I don't really care so much. I've learned through life that only thing that matters is right now. And it's really hard and cheesy and cliche to be like, we got to be present. But it's kind of the only way to be because you can't change the past. You don't know the future. Live your best that you can do right now. And it doesn't really matter. Like if I died tomorrow, as long as I think about that I'm going to die all the time. Every time I get on 95, I think I'm going to die.
Oh, 95 is scary. It's getting
Scary.
scarier. I don't know what's going on. Like,
I saw a terrible car crash. Yes, I've seen more dead bodies in the last
you
month.
saw a dead body?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this dead body.
You can tell when they're putting them on the gurney if they're dead or not.
Oh, but you didn't see the actual dead body.
I'm driving. I'm not going to pull over and be like, yo, let me see this body bag. Yo, like, no.
Yo,
but
people are driving insane. No, on my job, maybe like a few months back, we were having a meeting and we were like on the third floor by the Aventura Mall where the Brightline is, and we're having a meeting. And the next thing you know, we all these cops or all these things were happening. And we look over and there's a dead body in the middle of the street, right there in Aventura. Because I guess he was trying to cross. What happened was he was trying to cross the railroad, and for some reason didn't see the bright line coming, and so he got hit by the train, and his body flew in the air and like fell down the middle of the road, and he obviously died. But how are you not realizing? Why would you decide to cross right when the bright line's coming? Wouldn't you want to wait until the bright line Like, I don't understand how they don't see the train coming.
So I think it's a suicide at that point, and a lot of them are doing it. I think that's why like they're like Brightline has had, so there's the jokes of there's more people hit than they pick up. Like they hit a lot of people, and I don't think it's because they're hitting a lot of people. I think people are choosing that as a form of suicide.
Do you think that person that got hit by the train that day, but he was because he had his book bag. I mean, he had like stuff. It wasn't like he was just like it looked like he was trying to get to work.
Well, I think a lot of people are committing suicide. I think a few people are probably just fucking headphones, distracted, not paying attention. And that has a lot to do with technology. People are sucked into their phone. I think a lot of these accidents on the road are because people are texting, people are looking on their phone. You're not paying attention.
It's scary.
Yeah, no. So technology is beautiful, but dangerous. Yeah, very dangerous. No. Yeah, I try to be as alert as I can be. And I'm not saying I'm not on my phone. I am, but I've learned how to like do a lot of things on my phone without looking at my phone.
Yeah, me too. I'm very strict about driving. I've always been a very safe driver because it's scary getting into a car accident, you know? I've never been in one, and thank God I won't want to be.
I've never been in any serious car accidents, like little fender bender kind of things. I think the biggest car accident I had, I guess it was it was a little scary. It was I was driving and I was crossing the yellow on a yellow light. So, yeah, like that's risky, but whatever. It's still, I'm going straight.
Yeah.
And these two teens turned in front of the car, my car. I don't know. I think what they were doing is just looking for it to turn red, and they're just focusing, and then they just whipped it to make that left instead of being like, is someone still driving? Because it's like, yeah, I left on a yellow light and it turned red as I'm in the middle of the intersection. But they should have waited. Instead, they just whipped it and literally drove right in front of my car as I'm going through. So I hit them on their nose of their car. Okay. But if the timing had been a little different, if I was driving just a little bit slower, if they were driving just a little bit faster, I would have hit the passenger. And there was a girl, like a pretty young girl in that passenger. So it could have been way worse.
Did you stop when you hit them?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Was it a big deal? It was...
Well, immediately, I'm just like, oh, my God, it's my fault because I hit them. But it wasn't my fault. They turned in front of me.
Right.
But I was like so alarmed because I'd never been in an accident like that. I've mostly been in an accident where someone just hits me from behind, a little
thing,
a
little fender bender. Yeah, those are.
Yeah, but this was like, oh, shit, this was scary because the airbag deployed too.
Oh, your airbag deployed. That's really scary.
Yeah. And I had my dog in the car. It was,
the dog.
So I was like scared all around. But in the end, it was a rental car, so the insurance dealt with it all and whatever. But the car was fucked. If that was my car, I probably wouldn't have been able to drive at the front. And I was in a big car. They were in a little car. So it was scary, but nobody was hurt. So at least there was that. But there's like always like people could be suing and like trying to say for injuries. It was easier because it was their fault. Like I could have, if I was a dick, been like, oh, I have whiplash, I have this or that. Like a lot of people just do that. And yeah, I'm sure you have some hurt. Like I remember being in the back of a taxi cab and getting rear-ended and thinking, oh, that didn't feel great. But it's not in my back of my mind to sue people. Like I'm just like, you'd have to really hurt me badly for me to be like, okay, now I'm going to sue you for this. Like that's just not in my mentality. There was a young girl who rear-ended me. I'll never forget this. She was like a new driver. And it was on 441. Okay. And I was literally at a stoplight.
Like, oh my God.
We weren't moving. And she just must have been on her phone or some shit. And she just like, all of a sudden I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for the light. And I just, boom. I just feel like someone hit me. I'm like, how is this happening? And I look in my rear view mirror.
Oh my God. I
look at my rear view mirror. And there's just like a 16, 17-year-old girl going like this. Like, totally freaking out in her car. Like I could tell like she was turned red, like she was screaming and like banging her fist on the steering wheel, just like fuck. So I'm just like, I point to her. I'm like, let's go over here.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the moments where I was like, oh, I have to be the adult in this situation.
Wow. But no, did she fuck up your car a little bit or no?
It was very little, but she was so panicked and she was so scared.
It's a scary thing when you get pulled over, when you hit somebody, even if it's a fender bender.
Yeah, and I was just like, listen, I was like, call your mom. It's going to be okay. But I was like, I was 29 and I had to like parent this girl. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to be the adult right now. So I was like, call your mom. It's going to be okay. We should take pictures just in case. I don't see anything wrong with my car. It's going to be fine. Be more careful. Pay attention. But her mom was like,
really mad.
Yeah, she was just like, what are you, like I was like, she was probably more scared because of what her mom, like her mom probably just let her use the car.
That's probably what I figured.
Like, fuck, I'm never going to be able to use this car again.
You know what? This actually reminded me of other deaths that we haven't talked about. I know we touched a little bit on global stuff, but like big global deaths like 9/11 or like the whole, I didn't want to talk too much about the COVID thing because I feel like that's too played out. But that was a major pandemic that people died, or like, besides 9/11, like things that like what else has happened? Like maybe the Columbia spaceship that exploded, but we were too young for that.
Yeah.
Like what other major things have happened in our lifetime that we would remember that, like, because I read a lot about things that happened in the past, but I'm sure our audience really doesn't read as much.
So as far as like famous deaths, my first one, like I think I talked about this briefly in the Diane episode, was like I remember watching the OJ trial and the thing, and I was very young, so I didn't totally get it, but I remember watching that. I remember when John Benet Ramsey was missing, like all these things were in my early like
I remember the John
5, 6, 7, like all that stuff. Like I was very focused. They were all over the news, and I remember thinking about it. And then honestly, there wasn't really too much deaths that really stuck out until 9/11. I was about 13, 14 when that happened, and I was in New York, and it was a big deal. I had friends that lost parents. I had a friend actually who didn't lose a parent but should have lost a parent, but found out that he had been cheating on his wife. That was crazy. Literally, her mom called her dad on 9/11 and was freaking out. And she's just like, oh my God, thank God you're okay. Where are you? And he's like, I'm at work. What's going on? She's like, what do you mean you're at work? I'm watching the plane go into the towers. What do you mean you're at work?
Oh, really? Oh, that's fucked up.
Uh-huh.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, so her family broke up after that shit. So, but I knew, like, yeah, like that was...
Oh, well, and we had Left Eye, Lisa Left Eye. She got into a car accident. But that's not really...
Was it a car accident?
Yeah, it was a car accident, I don't know, Costa Rica or something.
Oh, right. And Aaliyah, the plane crash.
Aaliyah, the plane crash. Kobe, the plane crash.
Well, that was more recent.
Kobe, that was way more recent. That was right before 2020.
Because that was, January 2020. That was terrible. It's the kids. Whenever there's kids involved, it's terrible. But, like, yeah, so 9/11 was a huge thing. I'm trying to think of like other things where it's like
Whitney Houston died.
Yeah. So my parents were in a plane crash that was like it just dropped. Like they dropped like I don't know how many feet, but a lot. Really? And somebody had died on that plane. My dad, he had to have like a neck brace for a while because like it would happen when the seatbelt sign was off. So people like flew up and it dropped. And that was what was so shocking to me, too, because I remember being like, how are you ever getting on a plane again? I don't know if I'd ever get on a plane.
Wait, what happened, though? What do you mean it dropped? What do you mean plane crash? Like,
so they didn't crash because they got control of the plane, but there was some sort of, like sometimes there's turbulence and you feel the little dips?
Yes.
So I guess sometimes those dips can be like 100 feet where you just drop and before they can get control.
How does that happen though? You don't know the dynamics?
I don't know what happens in the air that they can like just lose control of the plane like that. And maybe they can't anymore because this was in the 90s when this happened.
Right.
But I remember like...
And it happened suddenly. It wasn't like there was no warning. It was like they were hanging out.
No, because they had the seatbelt sign off, so that means that they weren't expecting this.
You know what, now that I think about it, when you're on an airplane, the seatbelt sign is always on.
Yeah.
You notice that, right? Like there's never a time where you can just hang out with no seatbelt.
Yeah, they turn it off very briefly, but they almost always keep it on because stuff happens.
You never know.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, planes to me are insane. Yeah. Like the fact that we even are flying in a plane, that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But being on a plane, I can't imagine being on a plane and like the plane crashing. It must be really scary.
Yeah.
Like, imagine everyone around you just freaking the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just you freaking out, but like everyone around you also going through it with you. And then, like, do you just die suddenly? Like, I don't know.
In what?
In an airplane crash. Like, what if you crash into the ocean?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on, because sometimes there's survivors. So yeah, sometimes you wouldn't die all at the same time. It's always crazy because I'm not that scared of flying, and
I've never been scared of flying either, but
I'm also kind of like, if the plane goes down, like right on, like that's not such a bad thing.
yeah.
But I sat next to people that are really scared of flying, and you could tell, and I'm just like, oh my
Oh,
god,
no.
like they're like gripping the thing, and they don't want to like.
Wow, it hasn't happened to me yet, but I've never been scared of planes. But the idea of that your parents were on a plane that just kind of fell out of nowhere, that's such a scary fucking
Yeah, no, that was that's it's a lot of things like that.
You know what's more scarier? Like, going to the doctor and they're trying to give you a surgery and they fuck up the surgery for whatever reason.
My friend just got shoulder surgery. She's suing that doctor for malpractice, and that's the case where I'm like, you absolutely should. She can't lift her arm past like here, and this is a girl who's like super flexible, and she's only in her 30s. Like
What happened?
so she was supposed to be just going for like normal, just so like this is the problem too, is they always make you get these surgeries that like
That are really not
did
necessary,
you even
right?
need to do
I
that?
hate that.
But they were like, it's gonna be fine, it's whatever. And basically what they did is they cut her muscle and then had to like staple it, stitch it, like bolt it back to her bone because they like ripped her muscle, like just filleted it. And they didn't even tell her that anything went wrong
Of course they didn't.
until like way later. And then you could see it because they were like, where's the like you have pictures of everything, but you don't have pictures of like the actual thing you did. And then you could see the cut and the tear. And
So they made a mistake.
yeah, it's a complete like fuck up. And then she sadly did deeper research on that doctor, and apparently he's done this multiple times. So that's the crazy thing. It's like, yeah, if you're gonna do any sort of surgery, like do as deep of a dive.
And I will never let anyone convince me that, oh, it's gonna be a little thing. No. If you're putting me to sleep, it's not anything little. Okay,
Yeah.
you're not gonna fucking tell me what. No.
Yeah.
No.
No. No. No,
I'm not gonna be that person.
No, thank you. I really loved being able to bring our friends on the show. I really loved being able to have comics talk about stuff that is a little bit more serious in a way that doesn't have to be funny, and be able to see them in a vulnerable, more sentimental side. That was like really nice to connect with these people that we already connect with because we do a similar thing.
Right.
But to be able to like meet them in this human way was really nice. And I also have had quite a few people who watched Grimm Gals who have said that they really like what we're doing and really admire us for for sharing what we've shared so far. And they told us to keep going, which I feel like why not?
Okay, well, let's see.
I love you. You're like whatever. You're like, we'll see. I'm not convinced yet. What the hell,
Is that
boy?
really? Oh my god, no.
Yeah,
I said all that by just me saying that. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm trying. Like, whenever I get sentimental, you lock up. You get so.
You're all like yes, and then you're like crying and shit. Like you're like, and I'm like, yeah. Anyway.
No, 100%. You're
So
cold
funny.
as ice, woman. You ice cold. Sugar and spice over here. This has been the season finale of Grimm Gals. We will be back next season with a whole new series, and we are very excited to share it with you all. So, see you next time. Maybe.